These will work. Let me check the audio. Testing. Testing. All right, cool. Let me make sure my air compressor's on. Yep. I just need to grab my gun out my truck and some nails. I'm going to step away just for a second. If anybody pops in, I need to grab my 18 gauge nailer. Probably need my keys. Should be plenty of nails. What's up, Pop? All right. We are all squared away for me to get started. The first thing I want to do is pretty much make a juice groove jig to route in all the juice grooves on these cutting boards. Typically, just use some 3/4 inch plywood, and then I'll screw those pieces into another piece of plywood. But I have some leftover fence pickets, so I'm going to try to use this for the juice groove jig. And to set up the jig, what you need to know is the distance from one side of your router to the center. Tape measures on that right here. And for this router, from the edge of the base plate to the center is 2 13/16. I want my juice grooves to probably land about 1 inch. Let's see, how big is this bit? It's a 3/4 inch bit. So the juice groove itself is going to end up being 3/4 inch. If I come in 1 3/8 inches, it'll leave me a solid inch around the perimeter. So essentially what that means, to get my center of my router bit where I want it to be on each one of these cutting boards, I'm going to need a fence over here that has the center of my router 1 3/8 inches onto the piece. And from the center of my router to the very edge is 2 13/16. So I need 1 inch and 1 3/8 inches. It's 2 3/4. So I'll need a border that is 1 inch and 7/16. And hey, how you doing? Thanks for joining in. So that little bit of math, if I pretty much rip strips that are 1 inch and 7/16 and then add a fence right there at the very edge, when I line them up around the edge of my cutting boards and then run it with my router, I'll get a juice groove that is 1 inch and 3/8 centered, which will be 1 inch. Is that math right? If there's 1 inch and 3/8 to the center, comes over 3/8, it'll leave 1 inch all the way around. And how you doing? Thanks for joining in. Doing just a little bit of math. And yeah, I think I want about 1 inch in for my juice grooves. So when I rip some pieces to 1 inch and 3/8, I need 4 pieces. The longest run on these cutting boards is 16 inches. These strips are 32, so I can actually get 2 of these out of each one of these. So I need 2 rips and 1 3/8 inches. I had to reset up my dust collection back to my table saw. Let's move all these over here. All right, so 1 3/8 inches. Set the proper depth for the table saw. Yeah, math. Bleh. Unfortunately, I kind of needed to make stuff. That glare really ticks me off. I got to figure out, as soon as I move, it stops. It's almost like it's refocusing whenever I move. And now I'm going to cut those all to 16 and then nail them together. Please don't mind the clutter at the moment. All right. The next steps to making this jig are to assemble the walls. And let me grab this air hose. You guys wanted to make sure. I think these are like 2-inch nails. Just wanted to make sure they weren't blowing through. And essentially, what these rails are going to do is butt up directly against the side of the cutting boards, and then give my router. Or you guys can't see. I'll show you guys in just a second. All right. Essentially, how this works is you run them around the very edge of your cutting board, and they create walls for your router to work against, which gives you the offset that you want. And typically, I'll screw it down to a piece of plywood. I can't remember. I think I tried this a while back and it worked, so we're going to try it now. I have a bunch of styrofoam insulation that I use for cutting stuff on. I can't remember, but I think I was able to actually screw into this. We're about to find out now. And if I can, it saves me from wasting a piece of plywood. Don't remember if they held or not. And no, this is just one of the other ones. No, it doesn't hold good enough. Guess I will have to sacrifice a piece of plywood. Trying to think. I got a piece over there. I don't want to use that. I could screw directly into my bench. Man, so I don't really care if there's a few screw holes in there. Do I? No, then I'm going to have to move. Then there'll be a bunch of holes. Don't want it in my bench. I don't have a small piece of 1/2-inch plywood free at the moment. I could always cut one. All right, I think I'm just going to cut a small piece off of this and then use that. I think I'm also going to need to go to my truck real quick and grab my depth gauge because I left it sitting in there for my router. Something like that should be big enough. Let's see. I do need to check the depth on the track, so. Much rather use up some half-inch OSB than like some plywood I actually care about. And then who knows, I might actually keep this. All right, let's try this one more again. Let's grab a cutting board. Same fences. Where did I put the screws? Damn, I don't lose anything. Oh, there. All right. So the first thing you want to do is screw down one of your fences. Then you're going to push the cutting board up against that fence and then align your second fence. So cutting board firmly pushed up against this fence. I'll bring my next one. Make sure they're flipped the right way. And I probably can bring it to right there. Important thing is that this this cutting board is pushed up against both fences as you start driving in your screws. That's good. And then you again continue your way around your cutting board with your last two fences. And then that sets up a perimeter for your router to ride against to give you your offset. Because if my math is right, let's just say I want 1 inch and 3/8 to the center. If I mark that, measure from the fence, I should have 2 13/16. And I probably can bring you guys in with the camera, bring you a lot closer. One more again, you're funny. Oh, you're joking my accent. That's nice. But yeah, so math lines up The fences need to have that proper offset again to get your router centered where you want it. But from my fence right here to my mark I just made is exactly. There you all. Thank you. Definitely. Everybody in here, smash that like button. Greatly helps out the channel and the algorithm. Bring more of you guys in here to watch with me. So, yeah, doing the math right, setting up my fences right, it gives me that perfect offset to where my router's going to be landing right where I want it, which is 1 3/8 in. I have a 3/4 inch bit, which will leave me a 1 inch perimeter just going all the way around the cutting board. And essentially, the only thing you do now, just take your router, run your router edge up against your fence, and then go around. And that'll give you your perfect juice groove. Then you rinse and repeat and keep plunging deeper. But I do need to go grab my depth stop rod. That is inside of my truck and not currently in here. I wonder if I can bring you guys outside. I don't think you guys have ever seen the inside of my box truck. I won't be able to read you guys. And do I have a light? I think I got one inside the truck. And I can't turn my flashlight on while streaming. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I need to go grab that rod so we can run the router. Hopefully I don't lose signal stepping outside. So I'm going to try to keep looking at the phone. Make sure that doesn't happen. Yeah, I don't like cutting juice screws either. Oh, don't drop my phone. Woo. All right, where's my light? I got a flashlight sitting in here, but I can't see with how dark it is. Typically, I'll be using the flashlight on my phone where while I'm streaming, that flash is extremely dim, so I can't see jack shit. Where's that flashlight? Oh, fuck, this is... Do. If you guys don't know, I have the best eyesight in the world. So when it's dark out here in my truck, where's my big drop light? You know, if right now, here's a drill. I'm gonna put a battery in this so I can see something. All right, here it is. Okay, cooking with gas. Let me get a battery for it. Hold up, chat. Oh, okay. That was a struggle. Also, for anybody who hasn't seen the inside of my truck, it's a mobile box truck. Allows me to do all my shop work on site. We have a sectional seat, my collapsible Polk style cradle. Oh, let me keep the phone open so I can see what you guys say. I had to go out to my truck to grab something, and I did not happen. I couldn't find my light. Couldn't use the flashlight on my phone. So I was stumbling in the truck to find my light. But yes, we were looking for my depth rod for my router. when I went to go do the door install, I had my router thrown in this bag. And my depth rod is in here. Oh, there's the screw pin for the depth rod. And here we go. That whole fight was to come get this. And yes, it's the truck. I was just, again, had to fight to find the light. It was kind of hiding from me. But we found the light. And also, again, if you guys have never seen my box truck, countertops, workbenches, drawers, T-track for stop block, miter saw that can deploy out on the job sites, more countertop, ladders and everything else is stowed up top. And then I just have like general storage over here on the right-hand side, and my Palk style bench that I carry with me on the job site, and more blade storage. Whew. I just keep this light kind of stashed right at the front though, in case I ever have to come out here. So I hang that on the door. Easier to find. Yeah, we came here for the depth stop collar for my router. And yeah, this actually was my first shop. Before I got access to the garage, I worked out of this box truck. It's a 8x12. My very first projects, my very first cutting boards, and my first bedroom set and door. I had a door for a restaurant local to us, and I built out of the back of my truck with some sawhorses in my backyard, and now I have this space out here. Definitely been a huge progression. And now, whenever again I'm on the job site, I can set up with that truck, kind of pull up to the driveway, deploy all my tools, set up my benches, and I can pretty much build and do anything on site. But anything else that's too big for a job site, I can always take care of here inside the shop. All right. Sorry for that short disruption. We should be ready to do these juice screws. This rod that I want to go get is the rod for my router. Actually, I can bring you guys closer to show you. For those of you who don't know how routers work, this one is a plunge router. So I can plunge at different depths. You set up this rod and there's a little turret stop right here. The turret itself gets taller. It has different steps. So as I turn the turret, actually, let me set it up first and I'll show you guys. So if I come in, let's say I plunge the router down, and right now it's flush to the top of this table. So that'll be the first step on the turret. But now if I wanted to go in a 1/4 inch lower, now that this rod is locked in, the router can only plunge until the rod meets the turret. But if I wanted to go a 1/4 inch lower, I rotate the turret. And again, each one of these are a 1/4 inch lower. So as I rotate this, I would then plunge deeper and deeper and deeper. Again, there's 4 different elevations. But again, without that rod, I can't really do a controlled depth stop. So it fell off in my truck when I was inside the bag when I was doing the doors, and I just left it in the bag and pulled the router into the shop yesterday. So hence the fight that we just went through to go find it inside the truck. But now that we have that done, there's one staple right here that I want to take care of. Not staple, but nail that blown through the bottom. See, actually, I can just use a hammer. Especially to the board similar to your mom's. No, these boards are all just getting juice screws and handles. I'm not planning to do anything else special to them. And now that the cutting board is essentially locked in there on two sides, you bring this last strip in here. Well, there's still two more to lock in. But the goal is, again, to keep these strips pressed tight against your cutting board to keep the cutting board from moving, but also get your accurate reference as you go around your cutting board. And this is also why I don't have a dedicated juice screw jig. I just kind of make one up whenever I want to do juice grooves. All right, cutting board can't move. Let's get power to the router. And I already have the router zeroed out for the top. So we're going to switch the turret over for the first 1/4 inch pass. And I probably can bring you guys in a little bit closer. Thank you. I'm glad you found my channel too. Definitely helps me out, and I always enjoy to be able to teach or show some people something new. I did do one thing wrong. It's supposed to be from the rounded side of your router so you can actually turn the corners. Whoopsie. Oh, that's actually hilarious. Not gonna lie, this board might be fucked. Because I forgot you're supposed to do it with the rounded side so you can rotate and come in. Which also means my offsets for my juice screws are off because I need to measure rounded side to the center, not flat side to the center, because you can't rotate your router from the flat side without changing your offset. Silly me. I just fucked that up. And the only way for me to fix that is if I yeah, because it wouldn't even let me come back over to the same spot because now it's a different distance from over there. Turn it into a rolling tray. Artistic freedom. I can flatten it again, essentially set up the router side again, and then take off more material. I really don't want to do that though. But that also means I need to make a new offset. I need to see what that even is. Look at me doing math and then still getting it wrong. That is 3 3/8. And yeah, we'll figure it out. And yeah, that's not 3 3/8. It's 3 1/4. That's also why I started on one of these boring or cutting boards. So what I just said is 3 1/4. Yeah, 3 1/4. We want 1 3/8. And to get 1 3/8 from 3 1/4, we need 2 1/8. 2 to 8. Now, so I need something else to rip up for my fences. Do I have more fence pickets I don't care about? Oh, I'm slightly sad. That actually makes me sad. And I'm trying to think. I could risk it running through the planer. You're really not supposed to run end grain through the planer, or I have to set up this router sled all over again to flatten that. We're going to leave that one to probably for me to mess with later. I'll let my depression settle for that one. So what I need to do is, since I don't have any more fence pickets, oh yeah, that'd be fine. Again, I just need to take like another 1/4 inch off with the flattening bit, and that'll allow me to come back and reroute some juice grooves. But again, better to do it on this board than the one that I'm actually planning to give to my mom over here. Yeah, so better to make that mistake on that one than this one. This one's nice and thick, and I like to not have to flatten it any more than it already is. So, yeah, fine enough to do it on this piece, as long as it's not the nicer one. Again, this one losing like another 1/4 inch or so isn't going to hurt. Excuse me. What did I say? 2 1/8 is the offset. Here's then 1 inch. Yeah, 2 1/8 is the offset. How much are these? These are 2 3/4. I can actually cut these 2 1/8 and not even have to deal with the nails. So I'm gonna cut those 2 1/8, and then I just need to use a little bit of some plywood. And I'll probably use this 1/2 inch piece that I'm using for a base. This fireworks? Oh, probably something from Overstate. All right, so back to the table saw. And 2 1/8. And then I need some 2 1/2 inch rips. And I probably can just take it off this end over here. So let's put you guys on top of the cutting board. Hey, mistakes happen. All we can do is improvise and overcome. Or improvise, adapt, and overcome. And it's not a mistake unless you can't fix it. That sounds like a lie, but we're gonna go with it. 2 1/8. Yeah, I can't wait to work with some purple art. First pencil of the day. So 3 inches. I need 2 inches. Let's see, 30 and a half. I really need 16, but that's close enough. 15 and a quarter. I'll just center them on the pieces. That will work fine. All right, let's try this one more again. I should have plenty of nails. Can y'all hear that in the background, chat? Do y'all hear the rumbling? I live by Norfolk State. It's a college. But like, that don't even sound like the band. If it is the band, I'm not even planning on beat or anything. It's just a lot of loud noise. All right. Let's try for round 2. I was gonna wait. I can just flip it over. That didn't cross my mind. Again, all I can do is do my best. Take whatever lemons life gives me. Try to make some lemonade. And if I decide I could flatten this other side on stream or do it later, I just want to make sure this is set up right before I go into the actual cutting board that I actually care about. All right. Now we should be set up to do it this time. Before I go through and commit with my plunges, let me just make sure that's right. Because then I can turn with the router. Try to keep the cord from being in my way. Three nails were not enough to hold that wall on. That came loose almost immediately. Staple gun. Not 18 gauge, the staple gun. I also typically do this with 3/4 inch plywood, but I don't want to waste any 3/4 inch ply. Staples hold better than pin nails, though. Oh, did this jam last time I used it? It did. That's also why I stopped using my staple gun, because it started jamming on me. And now I'm actually going to need it. Or I just sacrifice a piece of 3/4 inch plywood and make proper fences. Which is probably what I'm going to need to do. Just trying to avoid it. Let's see, that will hold a lot better. So what I need to do is throw some staples in the rest of these. All right. That should be good as far as the fences. They should be rigid enough not to go anywhere. Let's give this the secondary college try. Hmm. Don't know why she's jumping like that unless this bit is really dull and that's just too much material. Oh, I know exactly what it is. So with that right there, that actually makes me mad. So this brings me back. I recently did a bunch of doors. I had to do mortises for mortise locks, and I don't have a CNC. But like as I've been looking into CNCs and learning more about routers, speeds and feeds are extremely important. And I was running a larger router bit, so at my speed turned down the router. Smaller bit, the bit needs to spin a lot faster. If not, it's going to be catching on your wood. Hence here why she jumped like that. So and I just turned the router up, and yeah, she's cutting a lot smoother. So I'm trying to think now. She has some gouges on this side, and I don't like that. This again could still be a gift board for one of my clients. I just give to them for free, and I won't really care too much. Or I can flatten this whole thing down, then it'll lose essentially a 1/4 inch on both sides. I think this is currently like 1.5 inches, so this only going to be an inch thick cutting board. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to run the juice screws on this side, flatten the other side when I call it good. And this will be the lesson board. You know, check your speeds, check your feed. Make sure that you're spinning your bit fast enough or slow enough, whatever bit you're running. If you're running a big door style and rail bit, you can't have your router running at full speed, or it's going to have a lot of chip out. If you run a really tiny bit, if you slow your bit down too much, she won't cut. So hopefully that's a lesson to everybody out there and to me. Because my other skill router has a digital display up here. So it actually shows you the router bit and the settings that you already have. This one just has a dial indicator, so I don't even look at it. But yeah, as I was just making that cut, I looked at it and it was set on 2. So it has 7 speed settings. So it was turned down way too slow. But honestly, now that that's figured out, you should be good to go. Unless I unplug it from the power. And we're going to do another 1/4 inch deeper pass. But it's a little flubbed up right here. And there's not really much I can do about it unless I want to. I could hypothetically just move this fence out just a little bit and take a pass coming all the way across there. Just to try to at least straighten out that line, and this side would just be a little bit less than 1 inch to the edge. Might be what I do, and then just call it good instead of worrying about it too much, because where this just comes over is 3/4 inch to the edge. So I can always just move this back a 1/4 inch, and then I can straighten up that line right there. Mistakes were made solutions were found. I do hate how the power cord likes to come out of that this power strip right here. Yeah, this power cord is definitely going to be what screws me up. All right, that's one down. And again, I definitely need to get dust collection for my router because it makes a huge mess. And then you get your juice screws all the way around. And I want to do this one before I go to the other one. Make sure. Hoping those pieces of plywood are going to be long enough. Because if I put one over here, the router still should be fine in this corner. So I'll run it. But then I'll let it push over to that corner. So I can move that one down some. Actually, before I do, I think this cutting board is shorter. So before I readjust the jig, because yeah, this one is shorter. Let me make sure that this is good. Yeah, I can rotate that corner. All right, cool. That's the very top. So fingers crossed, I don't screw this one up. All right, pretty. All right. That one went a lot smoother. Oh crap, I got 73 people on here. 80. Hey, how are all you guys doing? I definitely want to take the time to say appreciate you guys for hanging out with me and to smash that like button. This is a cutting board for my mom for tomorrow for Mother's Day. My goal is to get the handles routed in and get it all waxed up. So the issue is my cord reel already does come from above. The issue is, one, I'm not on that bench over there because that bench has a lot of stuff on it. Typically, if I'm working on that bench, I just let the cord reel hang directly above. But this one has a really loose connection. It's like it wants to kind of fall out. So that's the issue with this. That's just a little loose. So as I'm moving around the bench, she likes to get loose and she'll fall out. But also, yeah, again, greatly appreciate everybody for hanging out so far. Hopefully you guys are enjoying. If you're a fellow woodworker, make your mom a cutting board. You still have time. Yeah, this is going to be a nice one. She's nice and thick. And once the oil and everything else gets on it, I think it's going to look amazing. So let's go ahead and wrap this last one. I'll probably flatten that other one later tonight or tomorrow. This is the one I really want to get done for today. Hey, thanks for saying hello. Hope you're enjoying your time in here. All right, so I need to move both of these rails forward, or worst case scenario, I could actually just flip it around, do 3 sides, flip it. Don't want to have to do that, but I might have to do that. We'll see. Okay, that's good. That works. I'm located in the 757 area of Virginia. Should have made these longer. One of these days when I get some more scraps, I'm going to make sure I make a dedicated juice groove jig. Like just make all these rails like 2.5 feet, maybe 3 foot. That way I know it will handle any size cutting board. Let me make sure that all my corners are still good. All right. Here we go. I already technically have two. That's actually how my router sled works. My router sled is essentially, fences like these that bench dog into my bench, but they don't have the same height that I would need. Well, these are 2-inch cutting boards, so I need my rails to be, tall enough to actually work for whatever cutting board I'm planning to use. So I can actually use where are they? The rails for my router sled. Did I put them up? I did. Yes, we're making cutting boards for Mother's Day. So the rails for my router sled are essentially an L shape with bench dogs in it. And these just set into my bench. So I could actually use these for two sides, but again, depending on how tall or how thick my cutting board is, like this one wouldn't work for how tall this needs to be. If I made this taller, then my router sled is higher up off my bench. But eventually I was thinking about a way to make my router sled rails adjustable or make my sled itself adjustable so I can actually raise and lower it depending on my rails. And yeah, we definitely do have a lot of people in here. Definitely smash that like button if you guys have been enjoying. And if this cutting board hasn't caught your eye, hopefully this one earns me a like. So we have 59 people in here. Those likes jump up like 30 right now. I'm going to cry. You guys might see a grown man cry. But yeah. So that's what we're doing. We're finishing up some cutting boards. I made a mistake on one of them. Essentially, this corner right here got ate up a little bit. But I'm probably just going to kind of smooth that out with my sander and leave it as it is. This side we started on, but again, I had my fences set up wrong. So I'm just going to flatten this side down one more time to get to that lowest point right there and call this one good. But next up is handles. It's going to get our handles routed in these. And actually, I can't route my handle into this one until I flatten it because the handle is going to reference off of the back of the cutting board. So I can do my handles in the other two. Whew, I made a ton of sawdust. I am covered. I feel like my glasses are covered. There's sawdust in my pockets. And we'll do the handles over on the router table. Oh yeah, I can definitely fix it. Damn, I missed it. Some of the colors. Check out Fireball Tools. They sell metal fabrication tables. Oh yeah, MFT style tables. I never heard them called, but yeah, I guess it still is an MFT. As woodworkers, we call them multifunction tables, so they're still MFTs. But yeah, I make all the MFTs in my shop by myself. And there's two more up front. They're just covered in a bunch of junk. Thank you. Yeah, if you don't have time to make one for tomorrow, you can like my stream and then tell your mom that you're helping an upcoming YouTuber, and that's her Mother's Day gift. She might accept it. Definitely appreciate it, though. Also, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. I post content every day. I post content to my Instagram, my YouTube, my Facebook, and TikTok every single day. I'm trying to get more consistent with my live streams. Hopefully, once a week, give or take. If I can keep up with it, we'll try. And again, I can keep these and use them again, but I'm probably going to throw these away. Because I don't really see the purpose in keeping them. Next time I do a cutting board, I'll just make some more. I probably need to remember that number, though, 2 1/8. Probably should have that written down somewhere, so I don't make the same mistake I just made. Ever made birdhouses? Yes, actually. I actually have one inside the shop that I made with my nieces and nephews. They're 6, well, 6, 7, and 8. Thank you, thank you. My younger nieces and nephews, my sister-in-law wanted me to come up with a project for them, and we made this birdhouse. Oh yeah, they enjoyed it. They really want to do more hammering and nailing, but it was like 3 of them, so getting them to take turns with the hammer was kind of hard. And also, I think I made some of my older nephews as well. We made some birdhouses, some boxes, and stuff like that. So the little ones, we made birdhouses, stars, a little pickup truck. All right, let's put this to the side, and then let's get our. Well, actually, no. Let me go grab the leaf blower. This is a little bit too much mess for me. I'm gonna blow all this off, and then we're gonna head to the router table to get these taken care of. And yeah, I heard squirrel tables and chicknick tables are really great builds. I just, again, where do I find the people who actually are actively feeding the squirrels? If I knew people that were doing it, like a lot of them, I'll batch out like 20 of them. But like with me, I'll probably build 20 and sell one, make $15 to $20, and then be sad. Let me set stuff up. Oh yeah, I've seen the frog house. He's cheating though. He's using a 3D printer. Again, if I had a 3D printer, every animal would have a house. If I had to sit in my shop and build it out of wood, dogs will get a house. And yeah, I've seen it. He has the pool and everything else. It's pretty snazzy. Again, if I had a 3D printer, that might be something I spend my time on. Yeah, you don't want your dog shredding the squirrels. Let me grab my leaf blower battery and blow all this off. I definitely wish I had a larger clove bit. Because then I could make wider juice grooves and go deeper than I did. Actually, move the camera before I blow all this off. All right, that's better. I got to do this too. I got. Huh. All right. Now we're on to the router table. unplug this router before I change the bits because it's safety. Thank you. I had to get that done before I started that door build I just finished, strictly because I wanted a more stable router table before I started running all those parts for the doors. Definitely it served me great. If for nothing else, the original stamped aluminum wings from my table saw were small. Now I have a lot more flat surface to kind of clutter up with stuff. So, if for nothing else, it definitely gives me more place to throw junk. I will say the ability to change the bit from above the table is pretty awesome. All right, that's not gonna come on. Let me go grab the actual hose. I need to vacuum that out. Yeah, my original router table is in here somewhere. So my original router table, before I had the one built into my saw. Let's actually slide you guys back a little bit. Yeah, my original router table is a Park style router table. There's bench dogged. You guys see the dowels? Yeah, they used to just bench dog into my bench, and then I'll clamp it. And then I had a Craig router insert, and then I'll install my fencing, work it like a standard router table. But again, not having to set one up, having it the perfect plane as my regular outfeed table. So when I'm running longer boards, I can run it directly across through here. And the ability to add some under table dust collection. This is now my router table for my job sites. Because if you guys just saw when I walked to my truck, I have a Polk style bench with MFT style holes, so I can actually hang my table saw and my router table directly off of my standard workbench on the job site and have a fully functioning shop again on site. So let's probably actually move you guys over here. I just spent a bunch of time trying to clear off the hand tool bench, and I've covered it again. The never-ending battle of scraps. As you build projects, you're going to make more scraps. And as you make more scraps, you make more projects to contain the scraps. And where is that ruler? I believe what you want for your handles is for the center of this router bit to be in line with your fence. So I have the gap that I want in my fences. When I lock those down, and then I'm going to bring it to where the center of the bit is in line. And we're going to do something like that. And then I'm going to lower the bit. To right there. And then I'm going to lock it. And then I'm going to need to set up 2 stops. These are my miter saw stop blocks, but they'll work here on the table. Oh, I hadn't even been looking back at the screen. Let's see. Yeah, I see. I hold on to scraps something fierce, and these boards, this whole entire project. I'm about to build a whole TV stand for my dad from leftover scraps in the shop. I keep finding purposes for them, so it's kind of hard for me to call them scraps. If I can build something with it, then it's not a scrap, in my opinion. This still has potential. All right. So what I want, where do I have any tape? Yes, I do. I'm gonna lay a piece of tape across the front of the router table. Oh, where's my square? Do I have a square conveniently close? Yes, I do. Exactly. Yeah. If it can be turned into something, it's not a scrap. So now I want to pull from this fence and figure out where the edge of my router bit is. And let's just find the center of this board. This board is 11 1/4. The center would be 5 1/2, 5 5/8. All right, there would be the center. And let's go a 5-inch handle. No, we're going to go 2 3/4 on each side. So that'd be a 5 1/2-inch handle. Let's put that on the line. And then bring the stop block to the edge. I wish I actually had the proper stop blocks for the router table. I never made any for the router table. And on this side, so plunge cut over. All right. No, that's not what hoarders say. That's what responsible adults with wood shops who are responsible. I care about trees. All right. I think I got it set up. Well, I think I have it set up right. We're going to find out in just a second. All right. Oh. glad I checked that. I thought I had this side inside the T-track. It was not. There we go. I was wondering why it wasn't getting tight, and that makes a whole lot more sense. Damn it. I wonder if that throws off the setup I just had. That's still lands in the same place. All right. Now we're good. Whew. All right, I just got to make it deeper to give you something again to grab with your fingers. Hey, thanks for joining in, boss. All right, so I think I want to go in by raising the bed one more time, and then I'm going to move the fence back to make it taller. All right, now after you the fat, I just need to raise it up by moving the fence back. everything lined up. Almost like I know what I'm doing. All right. Let me see if I can explain this to you guys as well. So the cove bit that I have doesn't have the ability to cut a cove this large. This was the first, I guess, depth of passes, and I had to go with 3 passes to get it this deep to get a full finger in there. But I need it taller so my fat fingers can actually fit in there. So I have to do multiple passes and also move my fence to get the proper location that I want for my handles. Definitely why I wish I had a larger cove bit. It'll make that and the juice grooves easier. But we will figure it out. That handle, the fingers aren't being pinched up against the table. And finally grasp the cutting board and lift it. This is exactly what we're doing. The one downside is by using a cove bit like that, it does leave some ridges in there that I have to sand out. but that's not too much of an issue. I can sand that ridge out and get this all smoothed up and good. That's one handle for one of the cutting boards. I can't do the handle on the other one until after. Oh, I've really been ignoring you guys. I apologize. I see those likes definitely shot up though. Oh, greatly appreciate you, boss man. Get some rest. Thanks for joining in for the stream. I'm probably just gonna get these other handles routed, and then I'm probably gonna spend the rest of the night after the stream sanding and applying finish. I would like to be able to get some finish on these before the stream is, but I got the water popping and everything else. And actually, let me check my phone's percentage just to make sure she's not about to die on me. We're at 32%. Well, I might be able to get them done. We'll see. I'm gonna focus on these two for the rest of the night. So after this, they've already been sanded up to 80. So after I get the handles routed, I need to go ahead and actually, how wide is this? I need to reset the stops. This one's 11 3/4. I think the stops need to go out by 1/4 of an inch. Because how they are now, the handle will just be 1/4 inch smaller. I'll probably just reset the stops for this cutting board. Or I really could just use the same ones because it's already centered. I just need to relower the bit, start the very back, and slide the fence forward. Phew. But yeah, I have to sand all the way through the grits and water pop these. So probably won't be getting finished on these tonight. Thank you, thank you. I greatly appreciate the compliments. But yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to sand all the way through the grits and water pop tonight. We're gonna try though. But between me and you, chat, I do have to kind of use the bathroom, and it's not a number one, so that's not something I can do on stream. But I'm gonna take me a quick leak. I'm gonna hold it, and we're gonna fight through. My phone actually does have enough percentage to where I technically could get to the point where we're water popping and applying finish. I at least want a water pop for you guys. We'll at least give you guys a good that cutting board's gonna look like once it has finish on it. I think at the very least, I want to get there tonight. I actually need to run to the truck real quick. I'll be right back, guys. Give me a hot second. All right, I'm back. Appreciate you guys for hanging in there. Let's get you guys back set up. All right. Deep enough. Now this needs to be thick enough in that corners. So on the fence block. That is it with the router table. And now we have all the fun of sanding and a little bit strictly because that can get close enough. We have a ridge right there that I want to clean up. I'm going to use my chisel, and then I'll sand that clean. But we have the perfect grooves for handles. Again, I can slide my hands in there and not bump up against nothing. That's plenty enough to get. And I have fat hands, you know, so the average person should be able to get their fingers in there and pick this up without too much of an issue. So let's just lock that down in there. And the goal is just to take the ridge down low enough that I can finish up with some sandpaper and not have it be too much of a hassle. That can get sanded up. Well, I can actually take a little bit. I can take care of that with sandpaper. This one's going to cross end grain. So I might need my chisel. Well, I will need my hammer. I need to make a carving mallet. All right, that can get taken care of with sandpaper. All right. Whew. Now all we have is sanding and finish. Still a long way to go, but we definitely made a ton of progress. Let me switch over the vacuums, get my sander set up over here. Let me blow my nose first. And then let me check my phone's battery again. I can breathe. Whew. All right, where's my phone? Luckily, this new mic that I have does allow me to plug up my charger as well. I have this really long charger. I don't know how fast it's going to charge while streaming, but I'll check in like 10 or 15 minutes and see if I lost percentages or if it went up. If it goes up, then I probably can get to the point I want to today. Follow this out the way. Let's see, and after all that walking back and forth, where did I put this? Right there. Woo. All right, so even with my phone charger plugged in, I'm still losing percentage. We are currently at 25. It dropped from 29 to 25 since I plugged it in. So what I'm going to do is put this one to the side, and we're going to focus on the prettier one. This board is currently centered up to 80 grit. I'm going to hit it with 120. Then I'm going to water pop. Well, I'm going to go 120, 150, then water pop. And then you guys will at least be able to see what it looks like. I might not be able to put the finish on for you guys during the live show. Well, maybe I do have a better charger. Just has a shorter cord on it. All right. Hopefully that makes it charge faster. Let's put the 120 on. Then we'll do 150, and then we can water pop. Where did I put my razor blade? All right, I sanded everything I need to sand with the orbital, with the juice grooves. I have to do by hand, so I take a 3/4 inch dowel, and I'm starting back at 80 grit, and I'm gonna work my way all the way up to the 150, and then we'll be good to water pop. I will say for whoever stuck around to the very end, I definitely appreciate you guys. And if you give me like another 5-10 minutes, I'm about to switch to 150 grit and do all the hand sanding, blow it off. I'm gonna hit the face one more time with 150 because I kind of will have touched all the edges with this, hand sanding. And then we're gonna go ahead and water pop this, and we'll probably call the stream there. Let me double check my phone battery. Yeah, even with my faster charger, and went up to 26, and now it's back down to 24. I don't want to risk the stream cutting out on you guys, but I do want to at least show you guys what it's going to look like with some finish on it, which I won't be able to get to finish tonight because after the water popping, I gotta let it dry, and then I have to sand it with one more grit. But I should at least be able to show you guys a glimpse of what it's going to look like with a little bit of water on it. We're almost there. One of the benefits of sanding in order with your grits, like it starts off pretty rough, so it takes a lot more sanding. But going from 120 grit to 150 doesn't really take much. All right. And then essentially, to water pop it, typically you'll grab a spray bottle. I don't have a spray bottle in the shop, so I just use a bottle of water in my hands. We're going to wet the surface and then rub it in. Point of water popping is to raise the grain, because after you spent the time to sand down all the grain, you're essentially just smashing down all the wood fibers. But the very first time that it gets wet, all those grains that you've done sanded are going to stand right back up. And since this is a cutting board, you want to raise all the grain and then knock it back down with your final grit of sandpaper. So that way when they wash it or whatever else, it doesn't end up all fuzzy and rough right after their first time washing it. And water typically shows what it's going to look like once you actually apply a finish. So this, once I actually apply the Odie's oil tomorrow, will be about what it looks like when it's finished. And then essentially I'm going to let all this water dry and then hit her with my final grit. And I can already feel it feeling more fuzzy now that it's been wet. But again, once it dries, it should be ready to be hit with 220. Should be perfectly smooth. And then should be ready for our final coat of finish. But I definitely appreciate you guys for hanging out with me tonight. We have juice grooves and our handles to grab the cutting boards by, all finished up. We have this one left to sand, and I need to take another flattening pass on this one over here. But I think all in all, it's been a pretty great stream. I mean, it's the longest I've actually been able to stream for without my phone dying. So I want to say thank you guys. Appreciate you guys for hanging out. Smash that like button. Leave me a comment. Subscribe. And then I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Peace.